Korean hanbok dress.
South Korea Statistics Rankings News.
News. Views. Interviews. Education news. Politics. Showbiz. Only on SNB News.
Joseon旧立弊社の4分직소から광화문の方を移動していきます。
영군 직소는 광화문 뒤편에 위치한 건물로 광화문과 경복궁을 지키는 군사들이 잠도 자고 근무도 서는 작은 숲직소입니다. 옛 기록에 따르면 조선시대 군사들은 북소리에 맞춰 앞으로 나아 당직 파수군과 교대 파수군이 수문장의 명을 받고 광화문 좌우측으로 도열하게 됩니다.
By the order of the commander, the gate guards will form into lines.
근무를 마친 당직 파수군은 수문장의 명을 받고 영군 직소로 복귀함으로써 임무를 완수하게 됩니다.
The off-duty gate guards are heading back to the military base under the commander's order.
सियोल से एम शारिक सईद का सलाम। हम आपको विजिट करा रहे हैं सियोल खांगामून से ग्योंगबोक्गुन पैलेस का, जो मेन रॉयल पैलेस ऑफ द जूसन डायनेस्टी टाइम से है। उम्मीद है आपको ये साउथ कोरिया का खूबसूरत पैलेस पसंद आएगा। हमने कोशिश की है इसके मुख्तलिफ व्यूज़ आपको दिखाएं।
Gyeongbokgung was established in 1395 as the main palace, the principal one of all the royal palaces built for the Joseon Dynasty, which lasted from 1392 to 1910. It is located between Baekaksan Mountain in the north and Yukjogori, 6 Ministry Street, present-day Sejongdaero, in the south, which, as it was placed just outside the palace's main gate, Gwanghwamun, became the center of the dynasty's politics and economy. The name of the palace, Gyeongbokgung, literally meaning brilliance and fortune, given by Jeongdojeon, a renowned Neo-Confucian scholar statesman who played a key role in establishing the Joseon dynasty, reflects its founders' wishes for the dynasty to thrive and prosper. The palace was destroyed by fire in 1592 when a huge Japanese army under the command of Toyotomi Hideyoshi invaded Korea and lay in ruins for about 270 years, until 1867 when a restoration project was launched by Hungsun Daewon-gun, then head of the government. About 500 buildings were restored or newly built as a result of this project, including the inner and outer palaces offices in which the king and his government officials performed their duties, and the residence and other related buildings used by the king, queen, and court ladies, and the royal gardens. The restored palace suffered significant damages at the hand of the Japanese colonial authorities during the Japanese occupation, which lasted from 1910 to 1945. In 1915, for instance, over 90% of the palace buildings were demolished under the pretext that the Korean Product Promotion Fair would be held in the grounds of the palace. A full-fledged project to restore the palace was launched in 1990, including the demolition of the Japanese Government General Building, which had stood in the palace ground for about 70 years. As its name Kunjeong, literally diligent governance, suggests, Kunjeongjeon was the throne hall of Gyeongbokgung, in which each Joseon ruler and his government were expected to handle state affairs in a diligent manner. Built to symbolize the sovereignty of Joseon's rulers, the hall boasts the most sumptuous and stately appearance among all the structures of the palace. The hall was used as a venue for various royal and state events such as the coronation ceremonies of Joseon kings, cabinet meetings, receptions of foreign envoys, and final state examinations. The current hall was built in 1867 to replace the original, which was burnt down during the Japanese invasion in 1592. Number 2. Sujeongjeon Hall. Sujeongjeon is the only surviving building of all the government offices built in the grounds of Gyeongbokgung. The palace grounds once contained Jipyeonjeon, the building in which Hangul, the Korean alphabet and writing system, was invented during the reign of King Sejong. The current hall was built in 1867. Most of the government offices built around Sujeongjeon were demolished by the Japanese colonial authority when it chose the palace as the venue for the Korean Product Promotion Fair held in 1915. Number 3. Gyeonghwamun Pavilion. This fine example of Korean architecture at Gyeongbokgung was used as a venue for various state events such as royal banquets, receptions of foreign envoys, final state examinations, and seasonal religious rituals. Originally a small pavilion, it was enlarged along the construction of a pond in 1412. However, this enlarged building was entirely destroyed by fire during Japanese invasion of Korea in 1592, and was not replaced by the current building until 1867. Sejeongjeon Hall. Sejeongjeon Hall was the main council hall of Joseon ruler, as well as the place where they went about their everyday duties. It was in this hall that Joseon's monarchs held daily morning assemblies with their highest-ranking officials, and lectures and sessions on state affairs. The current building was rebuilt in 1867. Number 5. Gangneungjeon Hall. Gangneungjeon Hall was served as the king's living quarters and a private area in which the king slept and conducted his daily life. The hall was used by Joseon kings for reading, refreshments, and unofficial meetings to discuss the state affairs with the cabinet members. The original building was burnt down during the Japanese invasion in 1592 and was restored in 1865. The new building was dismantled in 1917, and its components were used in the restoration of Hwijongdang Hall at Changdeokgung Palace, which had been destroyed by fire earlier that year. The current building of Gangneungjeon was restored in 1995. Gyotaejeon Hall. Number 6. Gyotaejeon Hall, chimneys in Amisan Garden. Gyotaejeon was the official residence of Joseon Queen consorts, whose duties included the management and supervision of royal household affairs related with all female members of the royal court. The hall was originally built in 1440, but was destroyed during the Japanese invasion in 1592, and was rebuilt in 1867. The restored building had to be dismantled in 1917 to provide building materials for Daejojeon Hall at Changdeokgung Palace, which had burned down earlier that year. The current Gyotaejeon building was set up in 1995. Behind the hall is an elegant little garden called Amisan, which is widely admired for its fine terrace of flower beds and 4 chimneys. The chimneys are hexagonal, and their walls are elaborately decorated with symbolic plants and animals such as crane, bat, phoenix, pine, vine, Korean apricot, herbs of immortality, rocks, birds, and deer. Number 10. Gwanghwamun Pavilion and Gyeongbokgung Palace. Gwanghwamun Pavilion is an exquisite piece of architecture situated in the middle of Gwanghwamun Pond in the northern garden of Gyeongbokgung. The pavilion, together with the pond and the islet on which it stands, creates a uniquely beautiful landscape. Built in 1873 to the north of Gwanghwamun, Gyeongbokgung consisted of Janggandang, which served as a residence of King Gojong. In 1895, Gyeongbokgung became the scene of tragic Eulmi incident in which Queen Myeongseong was assassinated by Japanese assassins. The place was demolished in 1909 and replaced by an art gallery by the Japanese colonial authorities in 1939. The current building was restored in 2007. Number 11. Jibokje Hall. Located between Shinmumun, the north gate of Gyeongbokgung, and Gyeonggbokgung, Jibokje and Hyopjildang was originally built as separate residence in the Changdeokgung. The buildings were relocated to Gyeongbokgung in 1891 and used as the king's library and as a reception room for foreign envoys. The building features the Chinese architectural style represented by brick walls on both sides and is connected to Parujong Pavilion and Hyopjildang Hall by corridors. Number 12. Taewonjeon Hall. Taewonjeon is conjectured to have been built in 1868 and enshrined with the portraits of King Taejo and King Wonjung. It was then used as a coffin depository following the death of Queen Sinjong in 1890 and Queen Myeongseong in 1895. That building was demolished during the Japanese occupation, and the current building was restored in 2005. I have number 7, 8, and 9 left of it. Number 7. Donggung. Donggung, the East Palace, is the official residence of the crown princes of the Joseon Dynasty. The crown princes residence was located on a site in the eastern part of the royal palace to represent the fact that a crown prince was destined to succeed to the throne like the sun rising from the east, hence its name. This building was destroyed during the Japanese invasion in 1592 and was not rebuilt until 1867. The restored palace building was demolished by the Japanese colonial authorities under the pretext that Korean product promotion fair would be held in the grounds of Gyeongbokgung. The current buildings were rebuilt in 1999. Number 8. Sojubang Kitchen. The Sojubang was the main kitchen of Gyeongbokgung, in which food was prepared and cooked for its royal residents. The kitchen largely consisted of 3 units. The Sojubang, inner kitchen, where daily meals were prepared for Joseon kings and their consorts. The Sojubang, outer kitchen, which was in charge of preparing special dishes for royal banquets and ceremonies. And the Semurbang, confectionery, where tea cakes, porridges, and rice cakes were made for the king. The original kitchen was demolished during the Japanese occupation, and the current royal kitchen buildings were restored in 2015. Number 9. Gyeongbokgung Hall, chimney with 10 symbols of longevity in relief at Gyeongbokgung. Gyeongbokgung was built in 1867 during the renovation of Gyeongbokgung for Queen Shinjong. Queen Gojong bestowed the palace building upon the queen, his adopted mother.
Hi everyone. We are currently in Hanambook Palace and we are wearing a very nice Korean hanbok dress. This is a very traditional one. She's wearing a princess dress and my dress is for a pigeon. So we would like to thank Sherry and thanks to the NSAPA News. Bye! Bye! Happy Joseon!